Although everyone concentrates on morning routines and methods, these eating techniques are incredibly effective at reducing visceral belly fat. Turning off cortisol is the key to visceral fat reduction. More than anything else, visceral fat is a cortisol problem. It's a concern because stress raises cortisol levels, which mix with insulin to cause fat to be stored around our organs. Morning routines are fantastic, but what if our ability to wind down and lower our cortisol in the evening was the true secret to losing significant visceral belly fat? As you can see, the majority of us have elevated cortisol levels at the end of the day. And as a result, all of our sleep architecture, patterns, and cortisol rhythms are entirely out of balance. Therefore, our bodies are unaware that we are in peak fat-burning mode. That alone gives you the impression that you're trying everything and putting in endless effort, but you're not making any progress. In actuality, working more may actually backfire against you and cause you to store more. We'll go over 12 nighttime methods in this video, but I don't expect you to follow them all. You shouldn't, in my opinion. Actually, I would like you to take one or two from each of the categories we will be discussing. In this manner, you can select the ones that speak to you. We will discuss habits in this video, which will fall into one of the following categories: lifestyle choices and habits, as well as one routine that I believe is quite significant. Second, we will discuss supplements. You can choose one or two supplements that you find meaningful, but I have one that functions as a type of emergency switch. I don't want to force you to take a ton of them. You can have something on hand that will literally blunt cortisol in an emergency if your cortisol levels grow too high. After that, we will discuss diet. Diet-related activities, foods to consume before bed, and meal planning strategies. In addition, I'll slip in one more thing that you can do immediately before bed that feels great and will improve your quality of sleep. I also have a mineral technique that works extremely well. Now let's dive straight into this category. Grounding is the first action you can take. 5 to 15 minutes. Category 1. Grounding using concrete or dirt while standing on grass. Asphalt won't conduct, but concrete will. This is how it operates. The Journal of Environmental and Public Health published a study. Additionally, it was discovered that standing alone on the grass decreased inflammation in the individuals. In the end, their sleep would be better. Additionally, they had reduced cortisol levels when their salivary cortisol was examined. What's happening? In actuality, it's quite easy. Unbelievably, we are made to interact with the earth. I realize that seems insane, but so does the claim that people emit electromagnetic fields. The idea that biology can be influenced by the Earth's electromagnetic field is equally absurd. These may seem absurd, but in the field of physics, they are quite real and legitimate. Simply said, we don't always observe them. Therefore, standing on concrete or soil with bare feet can allow free electrons to enter the body and counteract oxidative stress. Most significantly, though, visceral fat reduces cortisol and promotes better sleep. Your chronically high stress levels and poor sleep are two factors contributing to your visceral fat. This one is easy. A Category 1 vagus nerve reset comes in at number 2. You must now accomplish this in a very special way. Where you box breathe, this is done. All right, you use a 4-4-4 box breathing technique. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds. However, there is one operational element. We're resetting our nerves in vagus. As a result, you hum as you exhale through your nostrils. I didn't make this up. This has been discussed by Hubermans. This has been discussed for decades, but it still seems strange. And you do it for 3 to 5 minutes. They have even developed devices that function similarly to vagus nerve stimulators. In fact, breathing and humming can activate the vagal nerve, which decreases cortisol. And I'm sure you're wondering how this will aid in fat burning. I'm telling you, lowering cortisol completely alters the dynamics of your metabolism. This is the next option that you have, and it may be simple whether you select it or not. According to a study, limiting blue light at night is significant, but limiting overall brightness is more crucial. Simply lower the brightness on your phone. The most crucial thing to do, though, is to lower the brightness of everything around you. The most crucial factor is the ambient light. Therefore, it is more significant than the blue light. You could watch television with the lights off or the TV's actual intensity reduced. This has a greater impact than the blue light alone. Blue light is bad, but what counts most is the intensity of the light. I promised a ritual to you now. This one is awesome. This is a Category 1 pre-meal shot of ACV apple cider vinegar. Now this has some strong effects. According to a study, acetic acid really activates AMPK, which increases fat burning while lowering insulin and glucose spikes. It's not very interesting, but it's crucial, especially at night. The best time to utilize apple cider vinegar is at night because insulin should not be elevated during high cortisol levels. Therefore, if you can simply take some apple cider vinegar and postpone the insulin rise, you can avoid the need for cortisol and insulin to coexist, because that is an artificial state that shouldn't exist. When your cortisol levels are high, it should be because you are hungry and starving, not because you are stuffing your face and freaked out about your employer. It isn't a good formula for success. It can lead to insulin resistance by storing visceral fat, which creates a fatty liver. I now want to discuss Category 2, which is glycine supplements. Any of these could be your choice. You may choose them all. Additionally, they would get along quite great. However, I am also attempting to be cost-conscious. First on the list is glycine. 3 grams of glycine. Glycine is more than just an amino acid. According to a study that was published in Sleep and Biological Rhythms, it forces the body into a more relaxed GABAergic state by acting as a neuromodulator, a real neurotransmitter. The tone we want the brain to lean toward at night is gamma-aminobutyric acid. That feeling of calmness, coolness, and capacity. However, it also has another beneficial effect on fat loss. Glycine has been shown to enhance growth hormone pumping. We therefore experience our growth hormone pulses at night. Growth hormone does more than only make you look like a Neanderthal with a large forehead. It is something that genuinely aids in fat burning. It is among the most lipolytic substances the body is capable of producing. Growth hormone at high levels tells the body to release free fatty acids for burning. Fortunately, if you're doing everything correctly, it will help you release fat from the visceral fat region so you can burn it more effectively. But keep in mind that none of this matters if your sleep is disturbed. I can tell you from personal experience that glycine is the most effective sleep aid. It functions flawlessly. It soothes the body. It causes a natural rise in melatonin by cooling the extremities. Additionally, it desensitizes the bladder's signals to the brain, reducing the frequency with which you must wake up to urinate. That is crucial. A switch for emergencies is what I promised you now. Something you could use if you had a particularly stressful day and got into serious trouble. Use this when you know your cortisol levels are high, but I don't advise taking it constantly. Phosphatidyl Category 2, 100-300 mg phosphatidylserine. You can use this as an emergency switch. It affects a cell's membrane and may even blunt cortisol. According to one study, it fully normalized the cortisol response to a high-stress event, but it didn't appear to do so when used regularly. Thus, you might want to have this on hand. And you might want to know that when I got home, my hubby was screaming at me. The day is not going well. I'm under pressure. I nearly lost my job too. I nearly ran over the neighbor's cat too. I simply don't. I've had a rough day. Thus, burning it up with phosphatidylserine somewhat reduces the cortisol response, but only on those days. Additionally, it has the ability to balance the hypothalamus-pituitary-adrenal axis. Thus, you have an abnormally high cortisol level at night. This will disrupt your cortisol rhythm for the next day. Your cortisol levels are at their peak in the morning, which is when you can start burning fat. It is good to fast in the morning when cortisol levels are high. We can burn fat at that point. At that point, we can profit from it. However, if we have disrupted patterns, such as being stressed out and having high cortisol levels at night, we may not be able to take advantage of visceral fat burning in the morning. It's intriguing that cortisol may be both our greatest ally and our worst adversary. All we have to do is handle it. Next up is magnesium. All right. 4 to category 2, 500 milligrams of magnesium malate. All right. No connection. A pretty good one is made by a firm named Jigsaw. Additionally, magnesium glycinate serves two purposes when combined with glycine. In addition to increasing insulin sensitivity, it also binds to the NMDA receptor, which keeps you calmer. As a result, you actually require less insulin and have lower cortisol levels. It targets the two visceral fat routes that are most crucial. The mineral trick I previously indicated, bonus tip, salt in the AM. As I mentioned before, I'd like to discuss one thing you can do in the morning: salt. I understand that this is a nightly ritual, but when you wake up in the morning, start your day with salt and water. This is vintage 2012 material. It functions. Your adrenal glands will benefit from that. That facilitates the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis's activation. Grab a pinch of salt. It moves things along by acting as a signal transductor. A free variety pack of LMNT electrolytes are a common way for me to start my day. I've included a link to the one I use below. Because it is more sodium-focused, it is called Element. It contains 60 mg of magnesium, 200 mg of potassium, and 1,000 mg of sodium. Strong yet delicious stuff. They have a version that sparkles. They have an incredible lemonade salt. It tastes authentic and like I'm sipping lemonade. All right? Like tastes wonderful. It's not a fast food. You could drink it all day if you're fasting and it tastes delicious, but you're getting the benefit too, the electrolytes. Plus, that link down below gets you a free sample variety pack. Again, I'm a big fan of them. I love their stuff. I think you should try it. Now, in a moment, I'm going category 3, break from carbs before bed, to talk about this thing that you can do right before bed. This kind of soothing, positive thing. But we need to talk about the diet a little bit. Keep in mind that you can learn small things from this. You might be surprised to learn that there is one item that is even quite paradoxical. Let's start with some fundamentals, though. You need to have a clean break from big meals 3 hours before bed. All right? You have some leeway within the range of 1 to 200 calories. And in a moment, I will explain just how that operates in a paradoxical manner. However, 3 hours before bed is when carbs should definitely stop. That is the primary guideline. No more carbs 3 hours before bed. Second, I strongly advise you to schedule your meal if you choose to include some carbohydrates. At the end of dinner, eat an immediate dessert with a category 3. Bowl of berries for dessert, bowl of berries. All right? Especially blueberries. This is an intriguing thing. According to a study, the anthocyanins in blueberries can really help you burn visceral fat, improve metabolic health, and stimulate EMPK, which puts you into a deficit more quickly. We sometimes simply forget about the anthocyanins, these potent polyphenols, despite their immense power. Berries with supper are considered a dessert, despite the fact that they seem a little strange. A backwards protein hack that actually makes sense has been discovered. Additionally, I didn't first trust Dr. Mike Ormsby of Florida State when we discussed this on my channel, but he persuaded me and provided me with the study. Category 3, protein-only snack before bed. This is a little low-calorie snack that has only 100 calories, maybe 200 at most, but it's more like 100. Greek yogurt or cottage cheese, low-fat or non-fat, just protein. In fact, This raises your morning metabolic rate. In addition to having a thermogenic impact, it also appears to have a metabolic effect, increasing your metabolic rate in the morning. This means that if you go out in the morning, your metabolic rate is a little greater and you're still fasting, in addition to maybe helping to preserve muscle. It's as though the protein you consumed caused your metabolic rate to increase. So now when you work out, you're receiving that much more fat loss in a fasting state. It is a really effective and potent tool. In addition, it's an additional method of consuming more protein, which is crucial at this stage, as we all know. The next dietary option is to combine psyllium category 3 or psyllium husk with your protein if you're eating it at night. For example, you might mix it into yogurt, or simply eat a small amount of psyllium husk immediately after supper. Alright, this is a short-chain fatty acid. The next day, when you give your body psyllium husk, it transforms, breaks down, and ferments into a substance known as a short-chain fatty acid. The following day, it alters how your body oxidizes fat and how it consumes glucose, because your body produces these short-chain fatty acids in the colon. They are not limited to the intestinal tract. They enter the bloodstream and serve as a beacon and signal that indicates that the gut is healthy. They also have an anti-inflammatory effect, which allows you to send and receive insulin signals more effectively, metabolize fat more effectively, and have better fat oxidation. Thus, taking this action has a significant impact. Additionally, these are only minor actions you can take. And for brief periods of time the next day, intensity while fasting. We aim to be straightforward while controlling the tension. We want our exercises to be brief, yet still challenging and intense. All right? Reducing cortisol levels is the aim in order to get your body and mind back on track. Additionally, none of these are required of you. You steal small portions of them. It's a really simple routine if you wish to do them all, but I anticipate that you will accept this bonus tip: warm shower. Finally, as I mentioned, taking a warm shower before bed does make a difference. Many individuals claim that taking a cold shower will enhance the amount of brown adipose tissue. Yada, yes, sure, certainly. But it also makes you feel a little anxious before bed. In fact, taking a hot shower, as hot as you can tolerate, can push your body to cool down, which will cause your body to produce more melatonin and let you go asleep. Therefore, that 2-minute warm, cozy shower is really helping your cortisol levels. Now, I made a film called Truth About Avocados that discusses this unsettling reality about avocados. It was a little strange. You should consume avocados because they are a healthy food. But since it's a kind of a dirty little secret, I think you should be aware of this regarding avocados. Hopefully, this video will help you understand it. Check it out, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button as usual. Tomorrow, I'll see you.